You were here for the June 14th. This will be the same presentation. Okay, feel free to go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Thompson. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the College of Engineering. Today, Dr. Marlena Lester, who's the College of Engineering's Director of Advising, and myself are going to talk to you about joining the College of Engineering and adjusting to college life at Virginia Tech. Marlena and I are part of a larger office, the College of Engineering Academic Affairs Office. We are part of a broad system that includes the departmental advisors, and we are here to help support you through your time at Virginia Tech. Marlena and I both want to thank you for choosing Virginia Tech for your college experience. Today's orientation is going to contain a lot of advice on how to be successful in college, and particularly in an engineering program. This advice is going to be reiterated several times during your first year, so don't worry if it doesn't all sink in today. Marlena, can you take us to the next slide? So first, I want to mention that Virginia Tech is recognized as an educator of high-quality engineering students. There are going to be very high expectations of performance, but you're also going to be offered many opportunities to participate in engineering competition teams, to undertake undergraduate research, and interact with other students of similar capability and passion as yourself. We don't admit you if we don't think you have the potential to be a successful student here. That doesn't mean you aren't going to face various struggles adjusting from high school to college life. Those struggles are really common, but it's often those struggles that provide a good opportunity to learn and mature outside of your classes. Let's move on to the next slide. The other thing of note about the College of Engineering is that we're pretty big. In fall of 2023, we will have almost 10,000 undergraduate students in the college alone. That's almost a third of all the undergraduate students at Virginia Tech, and that includes our freshmen to seniors. That size allows us to offer a lot of different programs, a lot of different majors for you to choose from, and many of those majors have specialized tracks within them that will provide even more differentiation in your learning. However, it can also be very easy to feel lost with that many students. So understanding how to identify sources of help at Virginia Tech is going to be a really important skill that you developed, and it'll be one of the things we'll talk about today. Let's move on to the next slide. So I want to start first with general expectations. I'm sure you've heard that college is going to be different from high school. It's going to be different in a lot of ways. So start with, your life management is going to be very different. No one is going to directly monitor you. You're going to have a lot more time to make your choices, which will also mean a lot of opportunity to make mistakes. You will need to master your own time management, study routines, juggling of all your different academic deadlines and responsibilities. But you're also going to need to intermix that with a lot of day-to-day life tasks, such as getting your laundry done, keeping your space in order, eating properly, managing money, etc. I'm sure some of you are already used to this, but for others, you may be handling these things for the first time. This is a good thing. If you adapt to these types of tasks well, you're going to be able to come out of college and be able to manage your life while you're starting a career. And that's going to make it much easier to be successful when you have your degree and you're just beginning your professional life. In addition to navigating life, students are also going to need to learn how to navigate the university. And by this, I mean the numerous rules, requirements, and deadlines that are common for a large university. We have rules about academic standards, rules for academic integrity, rules about degree requirements, timelines for adding and dropping classes, a timeline for changing your major, and other critical matters. And we don't grant a lot of exceptions to those deadlines and rules. We also have a large bureaucracy of many different offices and specialized personnel, which can be confusing to work with. However, each of you is going to have an assigned academic advisor, and that person is typically the best first stop whenever you have questions. We also try to be very intentional about sending you communications whenever a deadline is approaching or some other critical opportunity is coming up. You're going to need to be very conscious about deadlines and plan plan your life with plenty of time to make sure you're going to meet those deadlines. Most deadlines you will encounter at Virginia Tech are strictly enforced, whether that's a due date for an assignment, a deadline to apply for an opportunity such as a scholarship, or a deadline to take action on a university process such as adding or dropping classes. You will need to spend a lot of time figuring all of this out. And it's best if you become your own advocate in working with faculty and other personnel across the university. You may not feel very comfortable talking to a professor or some administrator with a title you don't understand, but you will likely find yourself in that situation. Most of the faculty and administrators I know are thoughtful, understanding people, and they're going to try to help you, but there will be limits on how much they can bend policy. Typically, they're not even allowed for different reasons. However, they can often offer advice and sometimes point out an option you may not have thought of. Let's move on to the next slide. So I cannot stress enough how much you need to check and read your vt.edu email. This is going to be the official contact method between the university and you. Make sure that you check it at least a few times a week. During the academic year, personnel from the Academic Affairs Office will be sending you numerous messages regarding upcoming deadlines and other requirements. Please keep an eye out for those and make sure you read those messages. Don't let them get assigned to your spam or your junk folder. Up until recently, we've been using the email associated with your application for admission, and that might be a Gmail account, a Hotmail account, or something else. You should have already received instructions on how to set up your vt.edu email by now. If you've not already done so, please do that after this orientation. With all this said, you should not expect immediate responses when you send someone an email or expect to be able to meet with someone by just dropping by without an appointment. Typically, appointments are made through Navigate. That's the campus software for advising. All of the advisors have many students and other work tasks that they are responsible for, and it's not unusual for them to be fully booked up on any given day. So timeliness in asking questions will be very important. The need for urgency is often not necessary if you are proactively reading the communications that we're sending out and paying attention to the deadlines that are mentioned in them. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's talk a little bit about your classes. Instruction at Virginia Tech is going to feel different from instruction you had in high school and possibly at a community college if you've been in one of those. There's going to be a much more emphasis on comprehension of foundational theory rather than memorization of formulas, facts, and figures. You may need to know how to apply your understanding of something to new situations that don't look like problems you've had on the homework itself. The material may be presented in a less structured manner. There will also be a higher expectation for you to absorb material with less direction, particularly by reading outside of class. You will need to be more of an independent learner. If you were like I was when I was first going to college, I did not know the first thing about how to study because I had never really needed to do it in high school. So in addition to learning the material for your classes, a lot of you are also going to have to learn how to study in ways that work for you. You will need to pay close attention to the expectations of instructors and start assignments early. Like I've said before, many of the instructors can be rigid on due dates and they won't accept late work. They may expect that work to fit in very specific formatting standards, or they may not give partial credit for incomplete work. A lot of the, particularly the computer science instructors, will require things to be turned on, submitted through an online system, and you have to make sure that you understand how that system works and that your work is actually going through. Don't wait until the day before due date to begin looking at an assignment. You're also going to want to set aside time each day to review material from your courses, even if you don't have something due later in the week. The typical rule of thumb is 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour that you spend in class. So if you think about a typical 15 credit course load, you're going to spend about 15 hours in class during a week, but you'll also want to spend another 30 to 45 hours outside of class working on projects, assignments, revisiting your notes, doing reading for the classes, and so on. That's more than a full-time job when you add it all up. And that doesn't include the time that you need to manage your life or devote to valuable co-curricular activities that you may want to invest time in. Let's move on to the next slide. Can we move to the next slide? Yep, there we are. I want to speak a little bit about the honor code at Virginia Tech. Particularly, I want to give a special warning about Chegg, ChatGPT, and similar types of resources. Virginia Tech has an honor code, and academic misconduct is taken very seriously by the university. Sanctions for academic misconduct can include an F-star grade, and that's a failing grade for an entire class that goes on your transcript with a special notation. These are not uncommon. Also, if there are multiple offenses, those can result in suspension or even expulsion from the university. The penalties for academic misconduct go up, they escalate pretty quickly. It is really important that you pay attention to the rules of conduct expected for completing assignments or exams. Because of how many cases I've seen related to Chegg specifically, I want to explicitly warn you away from Chegg and other types of tutoring resource sites. Do not underestimate how easily the instructors you have can figure out whether work is being copied or whether a person has visited one of those types of websites. Let's go to the next slide. So after all these messages, I won't be surprised if you feel a little overwhelmed. That's normal and it's perfectly fine. College can be a very up and down experience until you get used to it. In your first year, you may encounter homesickness, loneliness, uncertainty, feelings of insecurity, anxiety, depression, and so on. You may have been a top student in high school and find you're closer to average at Virginia Tech, or you might just feel plain lost in your courses. It is okay to go through all of this. I want to emphasize that. Looking back on my own college experience, the one lesson I wish I learned early is how to ask for help, whether it was academic help figuring out how to manage expectations, or just counseling whenever I was having a rough spot. I did not use the resources that were available enough when I was an undergraduate student. Even though I did fine later on, I could have done better, and I could have had less up and down points in my life had I been less stubborn about getting advice or looking into campus resources when I needed help. It's normal and okay to experience a number of problems when you first go up to college, and you can recover from a certain amount of bad grades, but that becomes harder if you don't talk to others when you need help. The important part is to define realistic expectations for yourself and focus on making forward progress every year. And we're going to try to help you do this. Let's go to the next slide. So the university and the College of Engineering have numerous opportunities. A couple of resources I'd like to point out today are that we have an embedded counselor from the Cook Counseling Center. She works exclusively with engineering students and focuses on the issues that are more prevalent in their experiences. The university also maintains a student success center, and they provide tutoring services among other types of academic support. Some departments, such as computer science, which is our largest undergraduate program, have their own tutoring service space. CS has that space in Torgerson Hall. We also have a group called SWAT, which stands for Software Assistance Triage. That office is also located in Torgerson Hall. They're there to help with any computer or software needs you might have. If you are trying to get a project done in a particular week and then your computer starts to act up, you can go to SWAT and try to get help with that. They can even provide a loaner computer if things go really bad. The Dean of Students office is a good resource if you have any type of life emergency. I also want to mention the college's Center for the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity. That's also called CEED, C-E-E-D. Among their various services, they offer a peer mentoring program, which pairs freshman students with upper level students as mentors. They also run our living learning communities, Galileo and Hypatia. CEED is currently located in Gilbert Street, in the Gilbert Street building. And you can find out how to get there very easily by Googling Virginia Tech CEED, CEED. If you have had disability accommodations in high school or were on an IEP plan, I strongly encourage you to connect with the Services for Students with Disabilities office at Virginia Tech and make use of accommodations here. I've seen a lot of students try to forego the use of accommodations when they move into college, and that's with mixed results. Accommodations are handled in a discrete fashion. They're designed to provide a fair learning situation for students who are authorized to have them. So I encourage you to make use of them if you have been on an IEP plan in high school or had accommodations in high school. We maintain a list of different resources that's available on our website. You can see that link on the slide that's currently showing. As I wrap up this part of the orientation, I want to reemphasize that you're now a Hokie. You're part of the Virginia Tech community. We've accepted you because you're qualified to be here, and we have confidence in you. I want to thank you for your time. I'm now going to pass this over to Dr. Marlene Lester. Again, she's our Director of Advising, and she's going to go over a number of other important information. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you here as part of our orientation experience. This is part of a college overview session, which is one component of our engineering orientation process. In the College of Engineering and all the particular colleges, this process of orientation is called the Virtual Academic Advising and Course Registration. And we will have details for you today in this college overview session. We also have a variety of different question and answer sessions for you to attend. We hosted one last week on our computer requirement. And like Dr. Thompson mentioned, we do have the peer mentoring as part of the Center for Enhancement of Engineering Diversity Office, and they'll be doing a special session this afternoon. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the academic advising process. All new students, whether you're new first time in college or a transfer student, will all have the opportunity to have one-on-one advising with their academic advisor or an advisor within that department. And then, of course, you'll have course registration. So as part of our orientation experience, I want to make sure that you are all familiar with our orientation website. The link is there on the top of the screen for you. And on that website, you'll be able to kind of follow along with our engineering orientation timeline. Back in May, we shared information with all new students about our college orientation welcome to direct you to details on our engineering orientation checklist. And then on June 5th, all new students received information about our virtual academic advising and course registration process. If for some reason you've not found those emails, you can link out to those from our website, which is a sample of them, but I do encourage you to go back and reference those messages if you have not found them previous to today. Then we have our ability for you to meet with an advisor from June 12th through July 28th as part of our virtual academic advising and course registration process. All students are required to meet one-on-one with an advisor for your major. The dates specifically for your program do vary by program based upon if you're a transfer student in a program already, or if you're first time in college student in general engineering or in building instruction. We also have opened up our class registration process. That's open from June 12th through all the way through August 25th. So you can register for classes. You can do this prior to meeting with your advisor, after you meet with your advisor, or anything in between there. You have all summer long in order to finalize your class schedule. Today, this is part of that overview session from June 14th to July 26th. We'll be hosting a session almost every week of this orientation season, except for during the 4th of July week. And then we'll have those optional sessions that I mentioned. The optional sessions that we will host, I've already mentioned the computer requirements. So that was with our friends over in the College of Engineering IT division, also some conversation around SWAT, which was our software triage office. We will host a session today on peer mentoring, next week on Hokie Shops, which is our Virginia Tech bookstore. A few weeks out, we'll host one on career support and then also study abroad. If for some reason you're unable to attend live to watch those sessions, we will post the recording on our orientation website. So for the session that was there last week on computer requirement, instead of having the Zoom link on the website, it has the details about the recording now. So you can go and watch that recording if you have questions about the computer requirement. On our, on our orientation website, you'll also find details about our engineering orientation resources. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, there's a lot of details for you on that website that kind of walk you through the specific details that you need to be familiar with as a new student in the College of Engineering. You'll find a link out to our orientation checklist that kind of summarizes all the specific big things that you need to do to kind of onboard at Virginia Tech. There's different links out for placement exams for primarily first-time in college students, linked specifically to our computer requirement and additional supplies that might be necessary for you to come to Blacksburg prepared with. There's also information about self-evaluating your transfer credits. There's details on there about how to look up your course equivalencies to determine what your Virginia Tech equivalencies of courses will be for AP, IB, transfer, dual enrollment, all those kinds of things. I do want to make note today that for any student who's expecting AP scores to come in July, those are usually here in the state of Virginia taken in May. You will probably receive those around July 5th. I communicated yesterday with our registrar's office, and as soon as they receive the scores from College Board, they will post those on your Virginia Tech record. So if you're waiting on pending AP credits, hang tight. Those will be posted around that July 5th date is when we are told that the scores will be released from College Board. And like I mentioned, you have all summer long to arrange your class schedule and get everything finalized. So don't be alarmed that the courses that you took AP for are not showing up just yet, because those have not been released. One other question we get a lot about AP is whether or not you should accept your credit or if you should retake a class at Virginia Tech. And in fact, here in the College of Engineering, for any student who has AP credit for, let's say, Calculus 1 and Calculus 2, you're not permitted to retake those classes. You'll automatically be dropped from those classes if you do try to self-enroll. There is something that the university does call it an administrative AP duplicate drop. So it's designed so that if you accidentally sign up for a class that you don't mean to, that you won't be retaking something you already have credit for. So from this point on in the summer, all the way through when we get AP scores in July, the registrar's office will run that AP duplicate drop and drop any students that self-enroll in a class they have AP credit for. And so there is information additionally on that website about that AP duplicate drop, and definitely consult with your advisor if you have any questions about that. On our website, also for the engineering orientation page, this is a page you definitely want to bookmark. You'll find information about the degree requirements or check sheets. We have posted unofficial drafts of those check sheets on our website until the university officially posts them on the registrar's website later this summer. But these are all official kind of drafts from the College of Engineering that you can use to help plan for your courses for the next 4 years at Virginia Tech. So they're noted there at the bottom of that website for entering students who start this summer and this fall, and you'll follow the check sheet for the undergrad catalog 2023 to 2024. So make sure you are following the most updated information on the degree requirements. You'll also find details about course registration, how to do course registration. I'm going to talk a lot about this later in our session today, but I do want to make note that there are some specific tutorials that you can watch on this page to show you how to do course registration, the mechanics of using the tool for course registration or the tools that you have available to you. But I also want to make note that some of our courses, if you're trying to sign up for specific classes, might have a major restriction on them. And what a major restriction is that some departments have a certain number of seats allocated for their majors, and the rest of the seats can be available to everyone else at the university to ensure that students in their programs get priority in enrolling in those classes. So if you're trying to register for a class and it doesn't allow you to do so because of a major restriction, search for a different section, date, and time, and verify that that one is available to you and it's not major restricted. If you have questions about how to change your major from general engineering into a specific department that primarily applies to our first time in college students as admitted as general engineering, there's details for you there on our website as well. The link that Dr. Thompson went over as far as resources and support is linked out from this orientation page as well. So you can see all those resources that are here for you, and also some frequently asked questions. In addition to our orientation website, all students who are admitted to the College of Engineering this fall and summer have a Canvas site. So if you have not found that Canvas site or accepted that course invitation, please do so immediately. As a transfer student, your site has all the specific details about when your major will be doing advising. It also has specific details about that course registration process. If you're admitted as general engineering, you should be getting reminders about that daily if you have not accepted that invitation. So if you see a lot of emails in your inbox from Canvas, that's why. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and accept that invitation, watch their registration advising video, and then take a quiz for your registration process to be able to meet with your advisor. And then if you're admitted as building construction, you'll have details on there about meeting with your advisor in building construction. So if you are like, I have no idea what she's talking about with Canvas, I encourage you to definitely take a look at your vt.edu email and accept that Canvas invitation. Or if you just log into canvas.vt.edu, you'll be able to see where you've received invitations to join that particular site, and you can just enroll in that course in that platform as well directly. So there's lots of great resources on that engineering orientation website that I hope you've already bookmarked. That was one of the action items that we asked you to do in that initial May 8th email. This is a great way for you just to kind of keep track of everything. The next thing I want to talk about is also another item that's on the engineering orientation checklist, is to make sure that you do send all of your official high school, college, and university transcripts to Virginia Tech. You want to make sure that you send those to the Office of Undergrad Admissions. You can send them electronically or by mail. Typically what happens is we use a service called Parchment, and that is an electronic recipient of transfer credits or transcripts from other schools. If you're a transfer student on this webinar today, if you took your foreign language in high school, then you will want to send your high school transcripts. Otherwise, we don't need your high school transcript as a transfer student. But otherwise, it's easy for us to just say send all your high school, college, and other university transcripts to the university in order to ensure that your records are received at the university. You also want to make sure that you're sending all years of your official score reports for AP, IB, CLEP, and so forth. You may have already done something called the Self-Reported Academic Record, or SRAR, through admissions. You still need to make sure that you send your official transcripts and score reports from the original source. So the original high school, college, or university that you took classes through, and also directly from those testing agencies like College Board or International Baccalaureate or Cambridge or the other agencies that are out there. So they have to come originally from the source. You can go onto your Hokie Spa account to take a look at whether or not Virginia Tech has received your AP, IB, or dual enrollment credits or transcripts from other universities. It is your responsibility as a student to make sure that you are keeping accurate records of your transfer credits and official information here at the university. So if there's any discrepancies, you can notify the appropriate office that's listed on that or that page for transcripts. So if there's something's not evaluated correctly, you can notify us and let us know, and we can make that adjustment. It is very important that you do ensure that all of your expected credits are reflected on your Hokie Spa screen, because Hokie Spa is our student information system where if you're trying to register for a next level course, your previous prerequisite course would have to be loaded and processed in Hokie Spa for you to be able to do so. And so you can go into Hokie Spa under the grades menu and transfer another additional credit to see all of your process transfer credits, dual enrollment, AP, IB. There's no way to really kind of look at whether or not Virginia Tech has received your high school transcripts, but for all those other types of score reports or transcripts, you can see that. If you go into that screen, and let's say you're from another state, and you will see that there's details on Hokie Spa that has send your syllabus to credits at bt.edu. So what that means is that you have to send your syllabus to that email address for us to get more information about how to determine your equivalency in courses here at Virginia Tech. So what happens is you'll send your syllabus to that email address, and then they will reach out to the departments in which that class looks like it might be an equivalency to, and those faculty will review that course and determine your Virginia Tech equivalency. We are going to try to start sending out notifications for anyone who has that notation next week or the week after, to just give you a heads up that that notation is on there for you to kind of give us more information. There is no way in Hokie Spa to see whether or not you've got your final high school transcripts. The only way that I am familiar with how to verify whether or not you got your high school transcripts is on your applicant portal on admissions. So when you go into that system, and then of course the Office of Undergrad Admissions will also reach out to you if they need any information that to finalize your application packet to the university. Here at Virginia Tech and the College of Engineering, we offer really what's called two different types of degree programs. The first is called restricted degrees, which mean you have to have certain classes and requirements in order to be admitted into that particular program. In the College of Engineering, all of our programs are restricted except for one. And so for our first time in college students that are admitted from high school to Virginia Tech, you're called a first time in college student, freshman, first year student, all those acronyms are names, naming conventions apply to you. But in those programs for aerospace through ocean engineering, first time in college students are all admitted to general engineering first, and then you have to complete certain course and GPA requirements to be admitted into one of those programs. As a transfer student from an external university or college, students are admitted directly into those restricted degree programs. The other program we have in the College of Engineering that's a non-restricted program is building instruction. So first time in college students and transfer students are directly admitted into building instruction. And so you don't have to really worry about that change of major process in order to be in your program. You're already in your program, and the same for transfer students. But if you were admitted as general engineering, which is the majority of our students who are new to the College of Engineering, you will be admitted into general engineering for right now. And then you will take 5 courses, earn 12 credit hours at Virginia Tech, and have a minimum GPA and a guaranteed GPA to be admitted into one of our 14 degree programs. The way that our curriculum is also laid out at Virginia Tech for all of our programs, regardless if it's a restricted degree program or a non-restricted degree program, you have basically 4 major components of your degree. You have your pathways to general education, you have your major requirements, and you have your technical electives along with free electives. Now, not all programs have free electives, but for pathways to general education, that's about 36% of your degree requirements. Your major is going to be roughly 45%, and then technical electives around 17%. And then if your program has free electives, it's only about 2%. The credit ranges of our degree programs in the College of Engineering is everything from 123 credits to 132. And so for most programs outside of engineering, the minimum and the maximum for graduation is 120. So in the College of Engineering, we are going to recommend that you take 15 to 17 credit hours every semester in order to graduate in 4 years. And so if you look at the kind of details on the screen here, you'll have a 123 credit hour program at 8 semesters, which is your 4 years, fall and spring terms. You need at least 15.375 credits in order to graduate in that timely fashion. But if you're in a program that requires more than 123, then you're going to need more credits per semester in order to graduate. In order to kind of help you navigate what classes to take and when to take them, and understanding our prerequisites and co-requisites and when are the courses offered. We have something called our graduation requirements or check sheets that I mentioned that's linked out on our orientation page that you can find the 2023 versions. We lay out what classes you take in your first year, your second year, your third year, and your fourth year, and also list any prerequisites, co-requisites, and also there's notations of term offerings. So not every course is taught every semester. So that's important to note that on that check sheet, you'll be able to see those details and also all the prerequisites and co-requisites for your courses. So until those officially get posted on the registrar's page, please use the drafts that are on the College of Engineering orientation page on the check sheet website. And so that's a great way for you to know exactly which classes to take during your time here in the College of Engineering. All of you who are new to the College of Engineering all have been officially assigned an academic advisor. That's actually been in place since early May. If you have no clue who your academic advisor is, please go back and reference that June 5th email. You can also find out who your academic advisor is by going into Hokie Spa and view your general student information, or also on our Navigate platform, which is our platform used to schedule appointments with your advisor in that system. We encourage you to talk with your advisor about, of course, your class registration, your academic progress, your grades, campus involvement, if you have specific academic and career goals that you want to keep in mind, and anything in between. Your academic advisor is a great first point of contact for those kinds of things, so definitely reach out to them if you have any concerns. If you have specific questions about your class registration or what classes you should take, your advisor is your number one person to go to determine your appropriate course registration action that you need to take. You, after you kind of go through this orientation season, you will use Navigate to schedule an appointment with your advisor. If you're a first-time in college student, you'll be sent an invitation to make an appointment with Navigate after you've passed the quiz and watch the recording of their advising details. And then you'll be able to make an appointment with your advisor. As I mentioned previously, we are going to recommend that you have 15 to 17 credit hours each semester, but the minimum that you need in order to be a full-time student is 12 credit hours. Full-time status is very important for us because it's required for students who live on campus. If you receive any kind of financial aid, if you're an NCAA athlete, or you're an international student here in the United States on a visa. So 12 credit hours is the minimum to be a full-time student. The recommendation for engineering students to stay on track for graduation is going to be 15 to 17 credits, regardless of the amount of AP, IB transfer, dual enrollment credits you're bringing in. We found that our students really like to have that 15 to 17 credits that first year, even if you have a lot of credits previously, because when you're a senior, you'll really thank us for that later. You'll have more time to focus on looking for jobs, internships, co-ops, and all those kinds of things. It might be necessary, though, if you are in the Corps Cadets, to take 17 to 19 credits, but 19 credits is the maximum number of credit hours that you can take as a new student here in the College of Engineering. So course registration, like I mentioned in that orientation timeline for the College of Engineering, has been open since June 12th, and it stays open until August 25th. You'll go into the Hokie Spa system under course registration schedule menu, and you'll have all these details about the registration process. During the orientation season, you will use something called AddDrop. The tools that you can use to register for classes are Hokie Scheduler or the registration and schedule screen in that Hokie Spa platform. As I mentioned earlier, I do want to make sure that you are aware that if for some reason you get restrictions on major restricted courses, or it doesn't allow you to register for a class for some reason, please double check to make sure that you are permitted to enroll in that class, number one. And then if it's restricted to chemistry majors only, for example, as a general engineering student, you want to look for something that says for GE majors only, or it says for College of Engineering students. And the way that I really personally recommend that you look at those major restrictions is using something called the timetable of classes that allows you to search by term, what pathway classes you might be looking for. It gives you information about course numbers, this course registration number that you need to register, and also the course modality. And in those, when you're searching specifically for a class, it will also have information about those prereqs, co-reqs, and any major restrictions. So that's a great way for you to be able to see those specific details. So I'm only mentioning this major and course restrictions because it is one of the top questions that we get from our advising team from students. So I just want to make sure that you are aware. This primarily comes up with first time in college general engineering students who are trying to register for chemistry 1045, which is the lab associated with chemistry lecture. There are, let's just pretend there's 100 sections of chemistry. There might be 70 of those reserved for the whole university that anyone can take. But the remaining 30 might be restricted to only students in the College of Science or in specific majors. And they allocate specific sections just to ensure that students who are in those majors who must take that class during that first semester are given enough seats to be able to do so. And then for engineering, your advisor will share with you that it's perfectly fine to take the lecture and the lab separately. And so you can take the lecture in the fall and the lab in the spring and so forth, but definitely discuss that with your academic advisor. Once you have met with your advisor, once you have started to register for your classes, one of the tools that we like to really highlight to show you where to see your class schedule is on HokeySpot. If you click on Classic Student Schedule, that's a great way for you to visually see all the classes that you're registered for. There's also versions that you can look at by day and time, so you can see it kind of in a grid format. So there's lots of different ways. But this version allows you to see the CRN, the course number, of course, the modality of the course, the title, the grading option. You want to make sure you're in all A through F graded courses unless the course is only taught pass fail. You have your credit hours, your time, your dates, your location, your instructor, and you also have at the very end your exam. Your exam column is very important. If you're trying to plan your departure from Blacksburg at the end of the semester, you want to make sure that your final exam has been concluded before you make any travel arrangements, because your final exam is not always on the last day of your classes. You have an entire exam week schedule, and that schedule is very different than your class schedule. So definitely be on the lookout for your exam schedule once you get your class schedule all finalized. A few things to keep in mind too is when classes begin. So for fall semester 2023, classes begin on August 21st. So in an ideal scenario, you have your class schedule all finalized before the first day of classes. But if for some reason you have a few little last minute additions you need to make, you need to do that by August 25th, which is the last day to add a course. And the last day to drop a course is October 3rd. The complete list of the dates for fall of 2023 is located here on the link. We also have this linked out on that engineering orientation checklist, so you can kind of bookmark that for yourself. If you are interested in kind of staying informed with our engineering news, events, and other updates, we do have a plethora of platforms on social media you can follow. If you are on the engineering orientation checklist, there's a link to this graphic and website where it also has all of our other departmental level social media platforms. So if you're in, for example, computer science, you can follow some of their social media, or mining and mineral engineering and so forth. So you can go in there and follow those particular department level platforms. But these are definitely some things to follow if you're into social media at the college level, so you can kind of stay informed with those kinds of details. A few things that I just want to remind you of. Number one is to help you finalize your class schedule as soon as possible with 15 to 17 credit hours. If you're feeling a little lost, that's okay. But just take a look at that orientation website, looking at that checklist of items, and kind of start at the top and work your way down. But if you have questions specific about when is your AP credits going to get here, what should I take as far as my classes, you want to direct those all to your academic advisor, in which you all do have a person that is dedicated to you that you can reach out to. I also want to make one final plug for our events that we have right before classes start. It's part of an event called Weeks of Welcome. You'll get lots of information about that from the university as we get closer to August. But in the College of Engineering, Dr. Thompson and I will lead several college sessions to give you some more helpful advice before you start the fall semester. We'll also have our Student Engineers Council, which is our umbrella student organization of the College of Engineering, there to talk with you. And that will be August 16th, 17th, or 18th from 9 to 11 in Burris Hall Auditorium. The date that you attend that session depends on when you choose to move in. And so the first day, is my understanding, for moving into on-campus housing is the 16th, which is a Wednesday. The 17th is Thursday, and the 18th is Friday. If you're a transfer student, you definitely can come on August 18th or any of those days. And if you also will be here no later than August 18th, so any arrangements that you need to make to be in Blacksburg, August 18th is your target to get here, because that's your last ditch to be able to attend our college session. And also we have a social. And at the social, we'll have all of our specific departments there for you to go around to tables, get some free swag. You'll also be given a gift from our Student Engineers Council. It's pretty awesome. And so you'll come by and pick that up on August 18th. The time frame for that is between 2 and 4 in Goodwin Hall and the Lawn. But those specific details are also on that orientation checklist at the very bottom of when you will arrive. And I'll also send you some reminders as we get closer to that time frame. You are not assigned a move-in. You pick your move-in, and I think those details will come from housing within the next week or so. That is my understanding with your particular details for your move-in date. If you have any questions, what we are going to do is we're going to open that Q&A up for you to ask any questions. We do have a hard stop at 10 a.m. though, that we have to leave this room, but feel free to pop any questions that you have into the Q&A feature. And what we will do is either type a response to you to address your question, or I will answer it live for you to be able to get any concerns that you have out of the way. All right, so it looks like our first question that we have here is, if I have indicated a free score sent from College Board, when will Virginia Tech receive them? So yesterday I did reach out to the registrar's office just to make sure that everything I'm reading online that you see as well is what we've been told as a university. And July 5th is when College Board is supposed to release the scores. That's what they have publicly on their website as well. We receive the scores from College Board electronically, and as soon as we get that download, barring any major technical issues, it automatically feeds into our system and into Hokie Spa in that grades menu. So you'll be able to see your scores and also your Virginia Tech equivalencies to the AP exams that you took. So hopefully that addresses your question there. So I addressed Emma's question in here. Are we assigned a day to move in, or do we just pick it? You pick it. My understanding is you'll get information from housing within the next week or so. The college session, yes, it's my understanding the college session for Weeks of Welcome is required. That's a little bit different as far as it's not on your honor. The housing team within the Division of Student Affairs has indicated that you will be required to check in for that college session. And so you do want to make sure that you make arrangements to get here in Blacksburg no later than August 18th at 9 a.m. to come to that last college session. So definitely make sure that you do that. And then of course come to the social. The social's fun. I rent lawn games like cornhole and some other games. I can't remember them all right now. There's a few that I had to take off the list because things got stuck in trees in the past. So there's lawn games. We also have every department there giving out giveaways, and you can talk to their department about their programs. Typically, if I can get a reservation, I will have the Hokie Bird come by. And then also we typically have our Corps of Cadet mascot, our dog. And so if that all works out, they'll have them there. But we also have tons of just giveaways. So it's a really cool way for you to mingle with the departments, but also with your other classmates. So do we have to send all AP scores of the AP courses we took in high school? Yes, you want to make sure that you do send them all to Virginia Tech. So they show up in your Hokey SPOS system. We get this question a lot with new students, like, well, I don't want to accept this history class or something like that. What we have found is that students who have AP credit are really successful to move on to the next level courses and should not under any circumstances retake anything they have AP credit for. We've looked at the data for math, specifically calculus, of course, we're engineering, right? So that's the biggest question we get. Should you retake it? And the answer is no. AP equivalency to our Virginia Tech courses is pretty on par. So if you have Calc 1, Calc 2, definitely move on to the next level of courses. And like I mentioned, we do have that duplicate drop process that will drop you if you self-enroll. So you do want to accept and bring in all of your credits. Do we say if we have no questions? No, for this session, no. If you have no more questions, you are free to go and go about your day and enjoy your day. So feel free to log off when you're done. The next question I have in here is, as an international student, my high school transcript that I submitted through Common App was a final report. Should I submit my high school transcript again? No, if you've already done your high school transcript, you've already submitted everything officially to admissions through your Common App or through the applicant portal, then you do not need to resend that to Virginia Tech unless the Office of Undergrad Admissions reaches out to you and asks for additional information. So definitely make sure you are checking your email daily. The next question we have in here is, I currently have 16 credit hours for the fall semester, but since I'm in the core, what should I do to get up to the 17, 18 to 19 recommended courses? If you have met with your advisor, you've talked through your plan, you have your courses, and 16 credits is your schedule, then definitely just touch base with your advisor. But 15 to 17 is recommended. I only mention the 17 to 19 because sometimes students who don't have any transfer credits as a core cadet student, who also has to add on the core labs, the other courses for the military branches, sometimes that brings it at 19. And then I get a lot more questions about, well, I'm in 19. So if you have that sweet spot of that 16 credit hours, you're totally fine, but definitely touch base with your advisor just to make sure. Is Weeks of Welcome considered the in-person orientations? Yes. Weeks of Welcome is, it's several weeks in which there'll be activities that students will do to kind of transition on board to the university. Lots of programming around getting involved, campus activities, and so forth. The pieces that Dr. Thompson and I are involved with are those that are right before classes start. So those dates that I mentioned in the presentation today. But otherwise, there's several weeks of events for students to in-person experience at the university. I had transfer credit for Math 1225, but my ROTC requires me to take Calc 1 in person at VT. How do I go around that automatic drop? So Ben, you are not able to go around the automatic drop until the registrar's office stops doing the drop. So definitely consult with your advisor on that. I will have to reach out to the registrar's office to check on that, but usually they will not stop doing the automatic drop until the week of classes, like the first week of classes. So definitely do not continue to try to add calc and then get dropped throughout the summer, because that gets very frustrating for you. And also then you'll email me about it, right? So the strategy here is to wait until we stop doing the automatic drop, but that doesn't happen until right before classes start. But you definitely should consult with your advisor, because they make some blanket statements in the ROTC about requiring that in person at VT. So definitely get some clarification on that as well. Because for AP, we do not require you to retake any of those classes at Virginia Tech, and you should not. All right, should I wait to meet with my academic advisor until after I receive my AP scores to better understand my required courses for scheduling? That's totally a personal choice. I would recommend that you meet with your advisor as you're comfortable with. What I would say is that your advisor can help you know how your AP credits are going to transfer in depending on your score. So you'll be able to look at those equivalency guides to determine if you get a score of a 3, 4, or 5, what your Virginia Tech equivalency, and work up some scenarios based upon what credits you might be getting. So I personally would not recommend that you wait. I recommend that you go ahead and schedule that appointment so you know where you stand in your classes. And if you ever need to then follow back up with your advisor, you can do that as well. Is there a way that I can confirm my transcripts and scores have been received? Yes, if you go into Hokie Spa, grades menu, transfer and other additional credit screen, you'll be able to see any transfer credits for dual enrollment. You'll also be able to see AP, IB, CLEP, Cambridge. There is no way on Hokie Spa to be able to see your high school transcripts. You'll have to do that through Common App or your applicant portal. But for those other types of scores and transcripts, you can see that on Hokie Spa. And so again, that's Hokie Spa, grades menu, transfer and other additional credits. That's also linked out and spelled out on the orientation checklist for engineering on how to verify that your scores have been received for Virginia Tech. So it looks like we have several questions left. We have about 3 minutes left of the Q&A. So I'm going to try to get to as many as I possibly can and see if I can group anything together. The main questions that I see right now is, I see on the AP credits and Virginia Tech equivalency courses, a PDF that's the maximum of 38 credit hours can be awarded. What happens if you go over the limit? If you go over the limit, the university will disallow any credits that are not necessary for your program, but 38 by Virginia Tech policy is the maximum you can bring into the university. So definitely something to talk with your advisor about. Can you share the information for submitting your final transcript digitally? Yeah, I can actually pull that slide back up so you can see. The place in which are allowing you to submit your transcripts and score reports are the only ones that have access to submit things through Parchment or directly mail those to the Office of Undergrad Admissions or sending your score reports directly to the registrar's office. So I'll leave that screen up for just a second. So is there any in-person orientations or is the online orientation all there is? There are in-person orientations for students. That's part of the weeks of welcome. After students are moved in, there's a whole programming for the in-person experience. For this summer, from now until the end of July, as far as advising and class registration, that is all online. As a transfer student from a community college, only half of my credits are being accredited. Is there a way to get more of my credits accredited? Definitely touch base with your advisor about verifying that your courses are showing up correctly in Hokie Spa, that you've sent your final transcript. If you're from a out-of-state school, then you might have to send your transcripts to be evaluated again, or you might have to get your syllabus evaluated. So definitely consult with your advisor about that. All right, so I think I have time for just one more question here. I'll hit the question here, kind of a core related question, but just for confirmation, are we supposed to arrive on the 10th? Ooh, sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I have not looked up when the core move in. Usually it's the week before the week of classes. So I'll have to look at a calendar to see what that is, but definitely talk to the core cadet just to confirm that. And I'm sorry, I'll try to find that out before I do another session this summer. So thank you all so much for popping in your questions. If I did not address them and they're specifically related to questions about your class schedule, definitely reach out to your academic advisor to get those clarified for you. But I really appreciate all of your time today and thank you for joining us and have a great day.